New York, big city of dreams. New York, big city of dreams.
What's going on? This is Jay Ellis from Knick of Time Show, here giving that Knicks talk just a nick of time. And we're here to talk about some Julius Randle news and trade rumors. Or I don't even call it trade rumors, but we'll get into it, all right? Before I get into that, I'm going to introduce you to my guys. It's the man, the myth, the legend, the guy, the stats, and the facts.
Ryan G's in the building. Let's go.
And my guy, Latin Assassin Lee Escobedo. What's going on, Lee?
What's up, family? Ready to talk Knicks?
And the best mod in the game, mic'd up. And our KOT capologist, Fritz Aliso. What's going on, Fritz?
I'm doing good.
All right. Sound great, Fritz. Sound great. All right. So let's get to it. So Shams, you went out and he said teams are monitoring the potential availability of Julius Randle this offseason. Randle is eligible for a 4-year, $181 million contract extension. If the Knicks decide not to extend Randle, he could be on the move. So I know, so teams seems like they're keeping an eye out for that. Me personally, I saw this team done with Randle, with OG Anunoby, with Jalen Brunson. We went 14-2. Randle was balling. I personally don't want to see him leave, but I understand this is a business, and sometimes when the numbers aren't working, players that fit your system and leave ask Emmanuel quickly. So I'm curious to see where things go with with Randle. So I'm gonna start off with Lee though. Lee, I wanted to get your take. What do you think about the potential of Julius Randle leaving the Knicks? Do you want him to leave or stay? And do you feel like a trade is imminent when it comes to Julius Randle?
I start off reminding everyone that I love Julius Randle. He's a player that I've related to the most and was a player I had loved the most since Carmelo Anthony, who was my favorite Knick until Jalen Brunson. I've defended Julius Randle a lot on a KOT show. And at the start of the season, I said that I was officially going to be the president of a Julius Randle stan hive. And I've stood by that. I love him. I love him as a person. I love him as a parent. I love him as a basketball player. If Julius Randle is in the same mindset as Jalen Brunson and is willing to take a early discount to stay with the team and make somewhere around what Jalen Brunson would be making, which I believe would be around $35 to $37 million a year, which would be about a $5 to $7 million increase to the average annual salary he's making now, which is about 30, which he has for one more year. Re-sign him. Let's bring the team back and go win this championship. The only way that I would move him is for a purely business decision. And to think about it in that way, and this is very hard for a lot of Knicks fans and for myself included at times for certain players, you have to remove all emotion from the conversation. And when I remove emotion and my love for him, I think it is best to move on from him if he's not willing to take the discount. To me, the number is $36 million per year that I would like to see him locked into. And I came to that number based on recovering from a shoulder injury, which will have some ramifications moving forward, his style of play, and most importantly, his age. The extension will be from age 31 to 34. That is a tail end of his prime. And for a player who really depends on physicality and burst of speed, and to a certain degree athleticism, I worry a little bit about his three-point shot remaining consistent and his defense remaining locked in. And for that, I think that there's a position in this roster that should be amended. Perhaps it's a power forward position with Randle, because you want to be able to match Jalen Brunson's window. His window right now, he's 28. He's 27, about to be 28, I believe, in September of this upcoming season. So everything now must be built with Brunson's strengths and weaknesses in mind. And to me, if you bring Randle out, you only bring someone in who is either the same age of or younger than Jalen Brunson. You don't bring another 30-year-old and swap out Randle, who's also 30. To me, that makes no sense. It's a lateral move. So if you're going to move him, bring in someone to create their own shot and bring in someone who is on the same timeline as Brunson and someone who is cheaper long-term as well, and preferably locked into a contract for the next 2 or 3 years so that all the contracts expire in the 27 and 28 season, I believe, in terms of Dante, Josh Hart, and Brunson's extension. But my preference is to keep him. only if he's willing to buy in on a cheaper deal, like Jalen Brunson has set the precedent now, coming out and saying that if Randle falls in line, I'm totally cool. If not, we must trade him.
And I just want to follow up by saying, if you did not hear the news that Lee is referencing, Steve Popper reports that Jalen Brunson is willing to commit to NY by signing a 4-year, $156 million contract extension this summer, very quickly, which is GOAT move by Jalen Brunson, kind of setting the tone, saying like, I'm not really here for money. I'm really here for a ring. And to be honest with you, when I'm looking at how teams can actually build out a team properly, I think that's the only way teams can really build out a sustainable team. Like, we kind of have to almost take a Miami Heat approach, like old school Miami Heat, where we had LeBron and Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade kind of come together and go, you know what, we're all taking a little bit of a cut here so we can keep our team together. And with this new CBA, I kind of feel like that's the move that we're going to have to go to if winning is important to you. And I kind of feel like winning might be important to this team. So hopefully other guys on the team follow suit. Ryan G, what are you feeling about the news about Randle staying, whether he should stay or not, or whatever your thoughts you have?
Well, my thoughts, I'm pretty much in agreement with Lee's thoughts about Randle, whether he should stay or whether the Knicks should trade him, etc. It's definitely going to depend on if he's willing to take that early extension, and a lot of Knicks more cap room for the front office to be flexible with adding pieces to the team and re-signing other players so they can actually retain other players, as opposed to like, him opting in and then, well, not opting in, but I mean like, him not signing an extension and waiting until the next year when he's going to be eligible for 5 years, 270 million. So it's just one of those things where it's like, you have Jalen Brunson, who's supposedly going to set the precedent where it's like, he's taking the early extension. If Julius Randle follows suit, then yeah, he should. The Knicks should retain him because because early in the season when he was healthy, him, OG, Brunson, everybody in the lineup together, the team looked very formidable. And I think that, my general thoughts are the Knicks should keep this roster together. There should only be like one or two additions to the roster. I've always said, like, watching the team this year, I think all they need is a wing, a wing help, somebody that can defend on the wing, can space the floor, and and be able to score as well. Because where the Knicks were hurt this season was when OG went out, the Knicks didn't really have another wing that they could slide into OG's position where they could guard bigger wings and also at the same time space the floor and things of that nature. So if the Knicks could get another player of that caliber, whether it's a player that you have to probably slide into the starting lineup if he's that kind of caliber player, or a player that you could just start on the bench and have him come up the bench and straight to the bench as well. So that's my thoughts about it. If Julius Randle signs early extension, you keep him, you build the team, you have him running back next year. If he opts to wait for the following season and opt out of his contract and make himself eligible for that 5-year, $270 million contract, I don't think Julius Randle is really worth $54 million a year, and Knicks committing so much money to him. So if that's the case, then you look for a trading partner and trade him away and see where you can get a return to help the team going forward.
True. I can see him going close to 40, to be honest with you. I don't know if that's just me. But Fritz, what are your thoughts on
I kind of differ with Ryan G, but one thing I would like to give a shout to the development team. Julius Randle is an asset we created. When he came in, the only thing he was one good year, good numbers, and a bad team. We had created a 3-time All-Star, a 2-time All-NBA player. Still young. He's 29. He is a major asset. At first, he was the big dog. Like, he was the first one to pop first. So he's the one who sacrificed first. So when he extended early,
Good point.
he took 26 million when he could have got 36 million. Is this the time where he's like, hey, it's time for me to get paid? Or and he's like, I'm gonna gamble on myself again, or I'm gonna ride it again. So you pretty much just have to find out, is he a team player again, or does he feel like this time is his time to get paid? If it's his time to get paid, it may be time to move him.
Is there any Fritz? Is there any advantage for the Knicks to wait to extend Julius Randle, or is it advantageous that they get that done as soon as possible?
Getting it done ASAP is the best way. Next year he's eligible for even more money. So if he knows what he wants and it's within the range right now, he will sign now. Because it's not going to make a difference. He's not going to, if he signs an extension now, he doesn't get paid more in November. He gets paid more the next year. So if he's going to extend within the range we want, it's going to be this summer. If he says, I want to wait till next year, let you know, he's going for the big one. This is going to be his big payday.
You know what my thing is? It sucks because you know what? What if Julius Randle doesn't want to get his money? I actually feel like the way Jalen Brunson is leading this team, I feel like he'll follow suit, and I also feel like it even sets a precedent for OG Anunoby. Shout out to Ryan G. Kind of mentioned this on Twitter, where he said Jalen Brunson saying I'm taking less money kind of sets the tone for the whole team. Because there's been rumors about OG Anunoby wanting 40 million. If your best player is on record saying, hey, I'm taking around 38, 39 as the best player, then you got to look in the mirror like, well, damn, my best player on the team is taking 38, 39. What should I take? Maybe I should take a haircut. Maybe I should take 30 million instead of 40 million. Because we're all sacrificing here. So I really love Jalen Brunson for setting the tone now to do the Knicks a favor, do the team a favor, and put us in the right direction to win a chip by just helping us out with the books. And that goes on down to even Hartenstein or even Alec Burks. Like, if you want to be here and you serious, you take that haircut so you can go win this chip. In the off chance that Julius Randle does not fall in line, I guess to me it's really hard to find a suitable replacement. I guess I would say is the word. Because when I look at the landscape of all of these all-stars that are out, none of them really seem to fit the culture of the team, especially if you're trading away Julius Randle. Kevin Garnett kind of said it best. It's like, this guy's already ingratiated in the culture of the Knicks. He already has that toughness. Who are we sending this guy out for? I've seen what Brandon Ingram lost his spot to Josh Hart in FIBA. You know what I'm saying? We have. I like Paul George, but is Paul George worth a Julius Randle swap? No. Even though he might fit with our team, to me, it's overpaying for a guy who's even older and often injury prone. So to me, there's not a lot of smooth fits, which has always been the problem with the trade Julius Randle crowd in the first place. There's never been a clean fit. Like, I've seen Larry Markin, great. He might be, not going to be as good as Julius Randle. He doesn't have that dog, that fight he does. He'll provide Jalen Brunson the spacing. But does he fit in that culture? It's going to be a tricky trade no matter who you trade Randle. So you hope that he finds a number that he likes and the Knicks like as well.
Yeah, I just want to add on to that. Because I've said it like a few podcasts ago, and like UCKG reiterated it. even today on First Take, like Austin Rivers, Andrea Carter, they all reiterated it, and basically all they said is the Knicks do have to be careful who they add to the team because the Knicks have a certain culture, and all these players bought into that culture. You know, the team isn't built around a superstar player, whatever the case may be. The team is built around Thibs and his personality. So you have a bunch of players who bought into a system, who bought into playing defense, playing both sides of the ball, bought into playing a gritty style of basketball where they play physical, you know, they're gonna punch you in the mouth, they're gonna grab offensive boards, they're gonna, they're gonna, wear you out with their physicality. And not every player in this league matches that style of play. So the Knicks are in a situation where it's like you really have to be careful who you add to the roster because not everybody's going to fit. And with the whole thing with Julius Randle, I think you are right, Jay. Like, although it probably is not appealing to pay him that 5-year, $270 million contract if he does decide to forego extending the summer and waiting out to that year. But at the same time, it's like, who are the Knicks going to really like replace him with? Because there's only like a few players in the league that will actually, play that style of basketball and fit in seamlessly. It's not like one of those things where it's like, oh yeah, there's a bunch of players in the league that we can fit in and he can just replace Julius Randle. Like, nah, Julius Randle is a part of the culture.
Yeah.
Like he understands what it is to play for Thibs. So it's gonna be tough, but as fans, I think we just have to hope that best case scenario, he takes the extension this summer and leave it at that.
Randall has yet to get a huge payday. Fritz touched on it. I agree with him. The first time he was paid roughly what he was worth. It was more about him growing into that role, which is why it was so incentive heavy. But the second contract he took, the extension, it could be deemed an underpay, if anything, for where he was in his career, what he had accomplished the season before when he most improved, and how old he was at the time as well. That's when he should have been paid 35, 36 million. But right now, this contract, again, is going to cover age 31 to 34. And that's one of my biggest reasons for the contract having to be team friendly moving forward, because he's only going to get worse from year to year. Physically, not necessarily his shot or his handle or his mental, but physically is going to age and become more injury prone in the tail end of his prime and not be able to maintain those 25, 10 and 5 numbers that we're so used to. So to me, with Brunson taking a discount, there's no reason the second best player in the team should take a discount. Should not take a discount when your first one is. And I think a number somewhere between 36 and 37 is very fair value for Julius Randle in his mid-30s. I think it's a number that keeps him on the team, that keeps him a second option, and allows him to continue to rack up All-NBA nominations and All-Star nominations as well. When he switched back to CAA, that was a signal to me that he's more on board to work with the team than when he went off on his own for that short 6-month period. I can't remember the name of the agent, but I think the agent was independent. I don't think he was a part of any other big conglomerate. I was a little worried about him demanding a trade or wanting a real big payday. But CAA, when you sign with CAA and you're with the Knicks, you're basically signaling to everybody, I'll play game and play ball with whatever kind of hometown discount you might be giving. And my last point on this trail of thought is Randall right now does not have leverage. And I think OG is in the same boat. They're both coming off of injuries, pretty severe injuries, especially Randall. And I think that there needs to be some leverage on the team's part at this point right now in negotiations. Say, hey, listen, man, we don't know it. We don't know yet. Here, this is fact. We don't know what you're going to look like when you come back. We can reference other players at other points in their career. We can reference the history of this medical procedure and how guys come back for it, playing a very rigorous 82-game season plus the postseason. But we don't know yet what you will look like as a rebounder, a defender, and a scorer. With that being said, let's make this an incentive-based contract. Let's put that team option in the 4th year, and let's have something that works for both sides that allows the team to maintain flexibility to bring other pieces in should you regress.
Yeah, I was about to allude to the same thing, actually. I was thinking Randall signing a CAA to me was a signal that he's willing to play ball, and you wonder if the injury had anything to do with it. It's like, you know what? I have no leverage. CAA, let's get it. And let's just get it done. And for all intents and purposes, he's had a lot of loyalty with this team too. West, Leon Rose, they've been really close with Randall. That's what I've heard anyway. So I don't think they would undercut him severely. So I think they have a working relationship with him. So I feel like they will figure things out. And we'll see how that rolls out. Fritz, go ahead, Fritz.
Yeah, I agree with Lee. That's probably around the number they want to get, $35-40 million a year. But at the same time, you can't blame Randle. Everyone who's in his, usually when the agent, he usually has comp. So whoever's in my skill level, how much are they making? And you have Cat making 50. You have a lot of people making around 50. But I think when it comes down to it, it's gonna be Randle's. It's gonna be Randle making the choice. Am I going for the money or am I going to go for team? And I think what side he chooses is when the Knicks make their decision. I don't think it's going to be a decision where you see a lot of people on Twitter, oh, we just need to get rid of Randle because he's just not good. Randle has been outplaying his contract.
Absolutely.
And this is the first injury. This is the first injury we've seen from Randle. And you don't really see it. He's pretty much an Iron Man in the NBA outside of his first year. So I think it's going to be a Randle decision that prompts a Leon decision.
I have a question for you too, Fritz. Because the Knicks want to avoid the second apron, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's really the whole reason for this. So, how likely do you feel it is that the Knicks actually avoid the second apron if they're successful in getting Randle and Brunson to a reasonable number and signing Hartenstein and OG? It's like, if we actually keep all those guys that we want to, is it still possible to stay on the second apron?
Okay, if everybody is well paid, like everybody is, if everybody is getting paid how much their comps are, the Knicks would be well over the second apron. So everybody cannot get paid top dollar. I think it really won't affect us. We do have some financial issues this year, but Randle's extension does not affect us this year. It affects us the year after. The second apron is something you don't you want to avoid, but it's not a red line. It's not. I don't want to have people saying that if you go over the second apron is death. It's not. You don't want to do it multiple times ever. But it could be something that the Knicks, hey, we'll go over the apron once, and then if your number goes down, we can get out of there. There's restrictions, but you could probably run through those restrictions for a year and not see big change.
Interesting. So if you go through the second apron one time, what's the penalty versus if you go through it twice?
You're in second apron, you lose your second round pick. There's a lot of trade restrictions, so you can't trade multiple salaries for one player. So I can't take $2 million salaries and get a $4 million player. I lose my second round pick. The margin of a trade becomes smaller. So instead of, hey, I have $3.5 million, you have $5 million, that's close enough. No, it's not close enough. Now it's almost dollar for dollar. It has to be really, really close. Yeah, there's just little restrictions, but when you do it over multiple times, that's when that's when it gets, you lose your mid level, you start losing stuff.
Got you. So the mid level, you don't lose your mid level the first time. You lose your mid level the second time.
Yeah, actually the first time you lose it. Yeah, you lose it the first time.
You lose it the first time. So what's interesting.
Yeah. So use it the first time. So if the Knicks love their roster, and we look around, hey, I like the bench, you can get in the second round. You can go say second apron, and you really wouldn't see if you love your roster, you're really not gonna see much of a change for 1 year. But if you go 2 years, you're like, okay, we can't get anybody new in here. It's tough to trade. If you could dip up and then dip back down, it should be okay for like 1 year.
Got you.
Mhm.
Understood. All right, so there you have it, man. Hopefully we do end up retaining Randle, and as Fritz says, it's gonna take this Knicks team to take haircuts. Everybody's gonna have to take a haircut if this team wants to stay together. That's not the norm for NBA players. It is not the norm for NBA players. But we will see what happens. We already know that OG Anunoby probably already has a handshake deal with the Knicks because, they probably already had something going before he was traded here. Hartenstein himself, he was willing to take a pay cut to stay with the Clippers. So he might take a haircut too to stay with this team, especially if he wants to stay and play with his brother, Mitchell Robinson. And we already have Jalen Brunson kind of leading by example. So hopefully it works out. Maybe we might be that team to be like, we're all just going to take a haircut and stick together because we have something here. Funny enough, I know Lee's been talking about this team as a championship team really early. I'm starting to see a lot of ESPN guys starting to echo that sentiment. Like, wow, if this team is healthy, they could be something. And if that's what the front office is thinking, and then maybe there's some incentive to keep this team together. But like Ryan G said, still to add some pieces. And we'll probably get more into the pieces we should add as the season goes along. All right. Anybody else have anything else to add? Nope.
I just actually just wanted to add that there's going to be a lot of people who are going to get on Twitter and say this is what the Knicks are going to do. I don't think anybody literally can actually. There's just I start going through scenarios. So many scenarios the Knicks could do with not only Julius Randle but with the cap. Like, for one little thing that nobody's really mentioning is Bojan Bogdanovic. We traded a pretty much expiring contract for his, but his next year is an option. So the Knicks can actually cut him. He's due for 19 million. If the Knicks cut him before I think June 26th, they only have to pay him 2 million next year, and he'll be off the roster. So it could, there's little situations where people can get paid, and it looks like, hey, we're gonna go over the apron. Instead of going on the apron, they just cut Bojan.
My whole understanding for getting Bojan though was he was going to be used as a trade chip. So
yeah, I think it gives them options, but I think based on what happens is what they did. But it was kind of like Fournier. Fournier had like a magical contract. Like, you can use it or you cannot use it. And then Bojan is in the same situation where you use it or you cannot use it. So that flexibility is really key.
Yeah. And Shams did say the Knicks were going to be aggressive. So I don't know. I can't imagine a world where they don't trade Bojan for something. Even if it's not like an all-star player. Even if it's for like a DeJounte or McCall or like a high-level role player. Like I can't imagine a world where we scoured the NBA for a $20 million contract that expires exactly, and we just don't use it. So
yeah,
if anything does happen, that's one thing I might bet money would happen. Could be wrong, but I would think Bojan would be traded.
Yeah, I think a lot of decisions will be made early. With OG Anunoby, the Knicks can actually negotiate extension now. Like, they don't even have to wait to the end of the finals. Like, they can start talking to OG. They don't have to wait till free agency. They can talk to him now about that. So if they talk to OG early and OG is talking crazy, they can start getting ready now for whatever they're gonna do. So I think this is Knicks are gonna strike early on a lot of things, trades, you may hear stuff before the draft. So it's not, we're waiting to free agency for movement to happen. Like movement can happen anytime.
I want to say a quick thing. I want to speak to the viewers, our viewers. A lot of them are very rational people. You don't see too many like really absurd trade speculations in the chat when we're podcasting or in the comments on YouTube afterwards. People tend to be pretty level-headed. A lot of them sound like Ryan, thankfully. But I think the ones on Twitter who end up watching this, or the ones on YouTube who end up watching this, just know that all the speculation you hear from all these publications, pay it no mind, because we haven't seen a single reporter get it right on what the Knicks are going to do verbatim weeks, days prior, ahead of time. Really, there's only four you can trust: Shams and Woj, Ian Begley, and Fred Katz. And those four guys, none of those four have known to the degree of any of these trades that have happened, all the pieces that have been moved. They don't know the number of picks. They haven't known which players. It's been very surprising when the trades finally happen that we start seeing things. And a lot of times we see it after the fact, right? When we saw Burks and then it was Bojan like 2 hours later. So don't get caught up in a lot of the speculation and the trade rumors, as it always happens every year. And I'm not speaking to the ones who are already doing that now, the Eddie Prestes who are holding spaces about these 5 trades are going to happen. Pay that. Listen, they had their role. All right, let them play their games, but just stay rational and realize that we won't really know what happens until it's announced on that ESPN ticker.
That's a fact. There's always one sneak move. He's like, wow, I didn't see that coming. Shoot, even the OG move, like the OG move, it was reported by Ian Begley a year before it happened. Then we didn't hear about it again until it just happened out of nowhere. So it's like you just never know what's going to happen with the Knicks. Real G's moving silence like lasagna, and that is Leon Rose. So moves in silence. All right. Good talk, gentlemen. I like having Fritz. I like having a cat guy over here. I mean, I feel super official now. I feel super official right now that we added this layer, because I sometimes I'd be like, what's the rules for this, man? So I'm glad we have a guy like Fritz who can zero in on that for us. Man, look what you doing. You got Fritz moving up in the ranks, the cap guy.
Baby. Let's go.
We got a video person. Man, we're going out here. We outside. All right. Happy birthday to my girl Ebony. Shout out to KLT.
She's outside right now.
Yeah, she's outside. I didn't even expect her to do we're gonna record it. But shout out to Ebony. That's the show, man. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Everybody let them know where they can find you. Go ahead, Lee.
At Twitter _Lee Escobedo, LEESCOBEDO, or every KOT post game, or now that we're in summertime, trade breakdown, speculation breakdown, rumor breakdown. I'll be here with my guys and my lady. Not my lady, but a lady.
All right, Fritz, let them know where to find you and your new channel.
Okay, Fritz handles on Twitter. Also NBA Economy Show on YouTube. So it's trade season, so I'll be on there talking real takes, not
there you go,
fantastical trades.
Exactly. And we'll be definitely having Fritz back to talk about trades and caps with us. So shout out to Fritz. I'm proud of you, Fritz, man. I'm proud of you. Ryan G-Lo, let her know where to find you, man.
You can find me on Twitter at RyanGKOT. You can also find me on Instagram at Sir G is chilling.
Sir G is chilling.
That's SIR. G is CHILLIN. I am definitely looking forward to what the Knicks do this offseason. And of course, I'm hoping that they get a wing and keep the team intact. But overall, I trust Leon Rose. I trust the front office. They've shown me more times than not that they know what they're doing. So I'm going to trust them this offseason, and let's see how the team looks going into next season.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Shout out to Ryan G's background. All right. That's the show, guys. Thank you guys for watching. We out of here.
Peace.
New York, big city of dreams. New York, big city of dreams.